Kelly Wren, and I'm here for a very special episode of Side Quest. Today, we're going to be reviewing Final Fantasy VII Remake, a game that took 23 years to be remade from its original 1997 release. I am a huge Final Fantasy fan, and I owe a lot to the Final Fantasy franchise, as it started my journey in games media, and also, fun fact, I've been writing Final Fantasy related content for the internet for about 10 years. We would like to thank our friends over at Ungeek for allowing me to represent them for this video and supplying me with an official copy of the game. Having beaten the Final Fantasy VII Remake, I have binged and grinded my way through the game's story and gameplay in order to deliver you with what we think about the game. So hang tight, folks, because there's going to be spoilers in this review, so it's up to your discretion on whether or not you want to continue watching this, or maybe you want to play the game first and then come back to this video. So without further ado, let's get started.
So, what did you want to talk about?
When spring comes, I'm leaving town. I'm going to Midgar. I'm going to be a soldier. The best of the best, like Sephiroth.
Final Fantasy games throughout the years have always stood out when it came to their graphics. It's obvious to anyone who's played the original 1997 Final Fantasy that the remake is a total step up from the source material. That being said, the whole city of Midgar is completely reimagined and feels like a city. I sometimes found myself in absolute awe at the environments, and especially when I panned my camera up to look at the plate above the sectors. This whole city is designed to be an industrial man-made metropolis, and the attention to detail is amazing. You spend all your time here, so you get used to navigating around obstacles and debris littered around the city streets and in tunnels. It really gives you an under the plate, in the dirty slums kind of vibe. Despite this though, there are instances of under-rendered textures in the environment that's a stark contrast to the characters in the scene or during gameplay. But this is so minor, you'll be engrossed in the story and you may or may not even notice. Now for the fun part, the character design. This is a massive step up from the 3D models they used in the original game, obviously trying to make these characters look both iconic and realistic as possible. The main costume changes were done to Aerith and Tifa's designs to make them look more modern and fresh, whereas Cloud and Barrett's didn't change all that much, minus the sunglasses Barrett wears on and off. Because of this realism, characters portray a wide variety of emotions from laughing to crying to getting angry, which really adds to the intense and captivating storytelling going on in each scene. My main gripe though is with the NPCs, because these character renders and animations are not consistent with the main cast. When these characters either get really excited about something or naturally have a big personality, it doesn't really show on their faces, and that kind of bugged me. All in all though, what this game does right is capturing the character design and making it look believable for playable characters or support NPCs, enough to get you to really care about them. So don't kill me, but this is where I have some opinions on the good and areas that need improvement going forward. And there's a lot to unpack here. Having played Final Fantasy since the original was released, I have been able to play through different iterations of the battle systems over the years, but this is by far the best one. The system is great because it has elements from the original, like ATB bars and our standard menu options like attack, spells, and items, but also has advanced attacks as well. These attacks are amazing because they act as things you can do to deal more damage while you wait for your ATB bars to fill up before you do a spell, use an item, or do a limit break. One thing to note too, when characters are not being controlled by you, other characters' ATB bars go up a bit slower, and that's to get you to switch between characters more often. And you want to make sure that you're dealing damage quickly and strategically, so make sure to utilize each character to the fullest. Tifa is really fast and her abilities allow you to stagger enemies at higher percentages. Cloud is hack and slashy, but you want to make sure to use his strong attacks as much as possible, and you'll find things like Braver in his special abilities menu. Barret is really good for long range. I also love how they do summons. Unlike other Final Fantasy games where a summon comes out, does a move and leaves, or completely replaces the party, these guys kick ass with you. They act as a fourth character, and anytime you swap between characters, you can get them to command the summon with a special move. Then, the summon's time meter runs out, and they do their ultimate attack before leaving. As for outside of battle gameplay, it's pretty simple. The game will tell you how to do stuff as you go along. If you get lost, there will be indicators on the floor of where to go to highlight entrances or ladders or between narrow spaces. You can hit the triangle button whenever prompted to do something like open doors, move heavy objects, or pull levers. My biggest gripe though is with the maps. Since Midgar is littered with debris, there's a lot of road blockages everywhere that creates a ton of dead ends, which is fine, but it doesn't show up on maps at all. So in certain parts of the game, you might be trying to navigate and it'll look like you can get across a catwalk, but really it's broken and you need to find another way around. Sometimes this pays off with a chest, and sometimes it doesn't. To do weapon upgrades, it's pretty simple. They use something like a sphere grid. It's probably one of my favorite upgrading systems in a Final Fantasy game, and this made me super happy to see. It's pretty apparent that this game combines some of our favorite parts of previous Final Fantasy games and really takes it to the next level. So, how does this compare to the original? Remake isn't an accurate descriptive word for this game. It's more reimagined, if anything else. Keep in mind, FF7R is only a portion of the overall story from the 1997 original. The other parts will be released over the coming years in other episodes. This game ends when they leave Midgar for the first time, not at the end of Disc 1. All the story beats we are familiar with as fans are realistically only a few hours long in the original game. They stretched that out between 20 to 40 hours in the remake, and that also depends on how fast you are. There is a lot of extra stuff in here, because they really flesh out the characters and the city of Midgar. They do a really good job of making the player see through the eyes of Cloud, who hasn't really been in Midgar for very long, so the other characters teach him and take him through each sector and what they're all about. So each sector you visit is different from the last and tells its own story about the values and the struggles of the people living in it. They also do an amazing job with the supporting characters and NPCs and make you learn more about them and give them their own individuality that makes them feel like real people in a society. As for the Avalanche guys, you learn to love them way more than you did in the original. And they are way more involved to the point where you get so close to them that it makes you feel a certain way when things start to get rocky. Sound. This is a huge aspect of the games fans will really appreciate. To go off what I was saying about NPCs, they really react to things happening around them. Oftentimes something would happen and right after NPCs would be talking about it in the slums, about how they really felt about what was going on. After the opening bombing mission and the reactor blowing up, when you go into the slums in Chapter 2, the NPCs are actually talking amongst themselves and even talking to Cloud about how terrified they are about what's going on within Midgar. It's really good for the story because it creates a cause and effect dynamic that would add to the realism of this world. The overall dialogue is so good in this game and it embodies that grittiness the original had. There's a lot of swearing in this game, and pretty much the only one I haven't heard was an F-bomb. But despite this, each character and scene is so well written that it makes every emotion feel valid and just adds to the portrayal of the characters' personalities. It, just like the graphics, makes this game feel so natural and is probably the most realistic Final Fantasy game I have ever played. And finally, the music is so well done. The soundtrack we remember is reimagined again, and they sample other songs into the music to make you feel a certain way. For example, One Winged Angel creeps into the intro song when Aerith is praying in the alley, making a scene we are so familiar with feel creepy. This scares Aerith and she runs out of the alleyway. They also don't play the battle theme during every fight, and the victory fanfare doesn't even play. It's only a tune you hear Barrett sing from time to time after a fight, as some kind of joke. I love this because during random encounters, which don't happen in this game by the way, you would get sick of hearing the same music over and over. In this case, when you do hear the battle theme play, it's really a pleasant surprise and you want to fight harder and better because you're all pumped up. How innovative is this game? I would say that it's innovative for the franchise and will pave the way for other Final Fantasy titles. And personally, I think it's only the beginning. Final Fantasy 7 through 9, as well as 6, were all really good games, and I'm hoping by the success of this remake, it'll influence other FF games to have remakes as well. With all that being said, I'll give this game a 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching this video, and if you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, smash that button. And make sure to drop us a comment and tell us what you think of this iconic game. But remember, no spoilers. Have a great day, guys!